you've been holding off on buying a property because the interest rates are so high, like over 7, hovering high 6s, how would you feel if you could find a program in North Dakota that would give you an interest rate as low as 5.15? This is something you're interested in, just hold on, follow me all the way to the end, and I'll tell you the program and all the criteria. I just want to ask, how many of you would be out looking for homes to buy if the regular interest rates were at the low 5s? I think a ton of you would be, because right now that 2% difference from 5 to 7, it's huge. It makes a huge difference on what you can afford to buy in a home. So I'd say this is worth checking into. Definitely give it a look, and hopefully it works for you. So I'm going to go over the first-time home buyer program, and then I'm going to go over the closing costs and fee assistance program so that you can do one or the other. You can do both. The most important part, though, is to find a lender that is qualified to do the North Dakota Housing and Finance program. Within those programs, you can also still continue to do your FHA, your VA, or your rural development, and you can do conventional. Through the North Dakota program, there are criteria. So I'm going to go over what your income limits need to be. When I called today, they said that some of the oil type of counties out in the other side of the state, they have a higher income limits because prices are higher over there. So for these examples, I'm going to use Grand Forks County and Trail County. But know that there's a ton of other counties in North Dakota that are eligible for this same amount. I'll just send you to the northdakotahousingandfinance.org website, and that'll give you all the specific criteria for your county. Or you can ask me. So if you have a family less than 3 people, then you are able to make up to $100,400 on this program. If you have over 3 people in your family, you can make $115,460 to qualify. Now there are purchase price limits. So for single family, it's $481,176. So most people doing first-time home buyers don't even look at houses at that price range. So you have a big wide gap of looking at homes with higher prices as an option according to your income. So don't just feel like just because you're on this program, you can only look at houses up to a certain price range. This is a pretty good price range for our area. You are also eligible in this program to do a duplex, a triplex, a fourplex, and they are nice enough to actually allow you to do new construction too. But the new construction amount is the same as the single family at that $481,000 amount. So you can build a new house as long as it's under that amount and still qualify with this program, again, as long as your income qualifies. Mortgage rates as of May 8th, 2024, when I'm doing this video, just looked them up. For the North Dakota Housing and Finance first-time home buyers for FHA, VA, and rural development, as of now, was 5.15%. Is that not awesome? Now under the same program but using conventional, it's 5.4. So I have to do a little explaining. So there's something called origination fee, which this program charges 1.5% of the mortgage rate. So if you're going to want that low of interest rate, that means you're also willing to come in with 1.5% of the mortgage amount at closing. Now, if you don't want to come in with 1.5% or you don't have the funds, they just raise the interest rate a little bit from what I just quoted, and I'll go over that. The loan types that I mentioned that were FHA, VA, and rural development that were at 5.15. Now, if you don't want to come in with 1.5%, they will bump up to 5.4% as your interest rate. Still isn't bad. Now, the conventional one through their program was 5.4, and it's going to bump up to 5.650. Still not bad. Now, I don't want you to think that you don't have to come in with anything, because these programs require that you have to bring $500 cash to the closing. So no matter what, you can get a down payment assistance, which helps you with closing costs, down payment, or any other prepaids that the lender requires, and that'll help you. But you'll still need $500. This almost must be your primary residence. Like, you can't have another home in another state or 2 homes or whatever. This needs to be your primary residence. They're also going to count everyone's income. So if you're a single person, they'll count yours. If you're married, they're going to count yours and your spouse. If you're single but living with someone and you're both going to be on the mortgage, they will count both of those incomes. And this includes everything. Like if you get child support, if you get Social Security, anything like that, they'll consider all income. If you don't qualify due to your income, the North Dakota Housing does have another program called the Roots program. Now, I'll do another video on that, but it is another option if you don't qualify based on these income limits. Maybe I should back up and explain. A first-time home buyer means that you have not owned a property in the last 3 years. So if you bought a home 10 years ago and you sold it 5 years ago and you've been renting ever since, you can still get another first-time home buyer loan. Now, if you're eligible, you can couple this program with the down payment and closing cost assistance that they can also provide. Those have a little bit different criteria, and I'll go through that. The down payment and closing cost assistance program can grant you up to 3% of the mortgage amount. Anything that needs to come out of pocket at closing. So it can be your down payment, your closing costs, or any prepaids that your lender would require you to bring in. That 3% can go towards any of it or all of it. Now again, I'm going to do the Grand Forks County and the Trail County income limits based on just that program now. This is a different program than the first-time home buyers program. One person can make up to $53,600 in order to get this help, this assistance. For 3 people, it's $68,900. For 5 people, it's $82,700, all the way up to 8 people, which then you can make $101,050. So I kind of skipped the numbers in there, but I figured you would get bored. With the closing cost assistance and down payment assistance, you can only buy a single family property or a duplex, but you have to live in one of the units that's attached. I do need to tell you this little fact because it affects some people. So when you do those programs, you are committing, it's a grant, but you're committing to 8 years of living in the property. So say you bought a home for $100,000, so your amount was 3% that you were allowed to get. So you got $3,000 for your assistance. Say that you moved out after 4 years. So half of that would be $1,500. So at your closings, out of your proceeds, you would have to pay back North Dakota Housing and Finance the $1,500 because you didn't live there the whole 8 years. They're not requiring you to live there the whole time, but you just have to pay back the amount that's prorated based on how long you lived there. I just want to throw in this other program. It's called the START program. And so the first-time home buyers is based on maybe a little bit lower income. And so the START program is maybe more of low to moderate income. Now I don't have those numbers with me, but everything else is the same. Like all the criteria that I mentioned in the first-time home buyers is the same with the START program. With both of those programs, you are required to complete a home buyer education course. And once you have proof that you've done that, they will provide the funds to you at closing. So you do need to have that done prior to closing. There are a couple other programs that they also provide. And again, you can go to North Dakota Housing Finance Agency, just the first letters of each of those .org to get the criteria and the income limits. They also have a local number to the Bismarck office, or they have an 800 number. There is a program called Home Access, and there's another one called Roots. So I'll do different videos for them because this is getting long enough for you guys. But again, find a lender that knows about North Dakota Housing and Finance, and then get the criteria from there. If you have any questions, you can ask me or you can go to that website. Thank you, and let's hope for lower interest rates soon.